pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So this is the first meeting of the new select board after the election, and with that, this is the organizational meeting. So we'll start off by taking nominations for board chairman.
I would like to nominate Franco Rossi as board chairman.
I'll second that.
All right, we'll close nominations and take a vote. All in favor of Franco Rossi as chairman of the select board, say aye.
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 All right, Franco, we'll hand it over to you.
Oh, good. So we go to vice chairman now, right? So we need nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate Carrie Gendro as vice chair.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Now we have to confirm date and time of meetings. Thank you, sir. I thought you were going to come and bonk me on the head. We have to, now, so we've been meeting the second and fourth Mondays at 5 o'clock. Is that schedule still, is it second and fourth? Yeah. Does that schedule work for you guys? Do you want to think about scheduling other meetings other times?
The dates don't necessarily, they're not necessarily a conflict for me. I wouldn't mind seeing perhaps meetings at 4 or 4:30 rather than 5, but that's just me.
My concern with having them earlier than 5 is the complaints we've had in the past for other meetings where people can't get here because they're working or whatever, and I think if we do it earlier, I'm just, you know.
Yeah, no, that's fine, just an observation.
Carrie, what do you think?
I'm flexible. 5 o'clock is fine, 4 o'clock's fine.
Well, I guess, I don't know if you have to take a vote on that, but I guess assuming, I mean, if you're not adamant about the 4 or 4:30, I think I'm good with just sticking with the 5 o'clock.
That's fine.
Second and fourth Monday is still good? Mm-hmm. Okay.
In location here?
Yes.
Okay.
I assume that's not something we have to take a vote on. We're not changing the current schedule, so.
We'll just announce it.
Okay, we're moving on to appointments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, our first appointment is Chris Wilkins from Park and Rec, regarding accepting a donation and equipment and the weird silent statues.
Yeah, so the weird silent statues, that's going to be at the April 4th meeting. We do have another donation. We've started looking at the pool for the summer, trying to prep ahead of time. And we're going to be receiving a donation of 68 life jackets for the pool, which go along with industry standard posters for educating not only staff, but parents and kids as well. So that's going to be just under a $1,500 donation in equipment that we're going to be able to use at the pool. So it'll be, we're asking you guys to accept that so that we can use those there. It's called the Note and Float Life Jacket Fund. And it's in memory of someone who unfortunately passed away rescuing people who were not properly equipped with life-saving equipment. So hopefully we can continue to prevent people from drowning and any water incidents up at the pool. So, yeah.
Any questions on that?
This is a grant that you applied for?
Yes. Yep.
Is that a state or a federal or?
Private. Yeah, private.
Any other questions? I guess we'll take that at board action section. We'll address that. Thank you. Next, for appointment, we have Skylar Sweet. You can tell me what I'm doing wrong already if you'd like.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Madam Vice Chair. Congratulations on your victory. What a decisive victory. So I'm here to talk about the State of the Union, or the State of Littleton, from my perspective, as recently served a 4-year term on the Select Board, the last 2 of which were as chairman. And as many of my more famous predecessors have said, the State of the Union is good. For those of you sitting here, more importantly for those that are watching on television, you live in a great town. Things are running smoothly. Of course there are ups, of course there are problems, of course there are challenges, but generally things are running smoothly. You've got a great select board. You've got a great town manager. You've got a great group of department heads, Chris being one of them, Chief Smith being another, and all the rest that aren't here today. And below them, you've got a great group of people that work for them. It's a wonderful town. Being selectman was, for the most part, rewarding. We get comments here at this meeting about all the problems in town, all the things the selectmen do wrong, the department heads do wrong. Basically, it's not true. We get comments about being spendthrifts and not caring about the taxpayers and the tax rate and so forth. That's not true. For at least 3 years running at town meeting, we have passed well over 90% of the warrant articles and well over 90% of the funding requested. That tells me we're doing something right. So what I want to do today is dispel the myths about the improper running of the town. I don't think that's true. I know it's not true. I know that we all make mistakes, but nothing is intentional. And when we make mistakes, we correct them, we rectify them, we get right back on track. So you, the people of Littleton, are fortunate. You live in a great town, and you're the ones that make it a great town. You come out and vote, and you support what the town is trying to do. And it's a combination of the select board, and the town manager, and the entire staff. We have, I think, a week or a week and a half left to sign up for committees and commissions and so forth. I urge you to think about your time, your efforts, your expertise. Sign up for these committees. We need your input. You came to the polls and you voted, so we know you care, but we need those committees. This town doesn't function without them. And again, from my personal perspective, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, the voters.
Thank you, Skylar.
Thanks, Skylar. Town manager's report.
All right, so first up I have the Eaton property. I don't know if, Chad, if you want to kind of start off with some of the communication and requests that you've had about it. Give a quick overview of some of the history of it.
Sure. I know that we've just received some communication about, what is the Eaton property? What are the plans for the Eaton property? Should the school look at it? Should the parks look at it? Should the town look at it? So we recently, I know, even at the polls or other places, the Eaton property was discussed. So I think if you want to just go over the history of it a little bit, and then maybe as a board we can discuss what we want to, is there anything that we want to look at doing?
Right. So Seal looked into this, and I believe in your packets there's some information. Basically, it breaks down to, in 1995, Article 7 authorized the purchase of the Eaton parcel, and its purpose was originally for recreation and other municipal purposes. In 2007, Article 28 authorized a 60-acre subdivision to the school, with a revision for July 2010, meaning the town would take it back in 2010 if the school hadn't started construction. And so in 2010, the subdivision and parcel was returned back to the town. Since then, the parcel has been part of the town. I think it is used unofficially for recreation right now. I think people go out there and use it, but at this point, it would be good to get an idea of what the community wants to see the parcel used for, whether it be future site of residential development or recreation or some other town use. So, and some of the communication I think that has been coming into the town is a question of whether the town should create a committee to focus on it and maybe work with the Parks and Recreation Commissioners to see if it's anything that they want to work together to tackle. Something for your consideration.
I saw the email we received, or that was received, that you received from Ron Bolt about this issue, I guess, which is what brought this here. And, I got to say, I concur with most everything he wrote here. I mean, I heard a lot about some people who weren't necessarily against the school and the acquisition of land, but voted against it because they aren't comfortable that the town has properly considered the Eaton property. Now, I know that the school committee did a lot of work and came up with this solution, but I think disposing of this in one way or another, the issue, and I don't mean the land, but disposing of this Eaton property one way or another is going to be a key component of getting support for whatever else or the other option if we choose to consider, if the school board chooses to continue that. So I'm not suggesting that we put together another committee to look at that or anything right now or not, but I just haven't had enough time personally to chew on it, except to know that this is an issue. And I think I would like us to think about that and maybe come back maybe at the next meeting and talk about what kind of approach we'd like to take on it. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm not making a decision for the board, but I need more time to chew on that issue, so, because I remember back in whatever year you said it was.
95.
And
95.
Yeah, and the words, it's clear the intention was that, there was for recreation or whatever, but that's not what I would remember. I remember that's where they were going to end up putting a school. And I'm not suggesting we have a school there at all, but that's what a lot of people were thinking. A lot of people were remembering, if nothing else. So.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it on the agenda for next time, but certainly I want to hear more. Carrie, if you have any comments.
Does the board think that maybe this is something too I could bring to the planning board to see if they have any input on it?
I would like to see maybe, I know committees, we've got a lot of committees, but to have somebody maybe from the school, the Board of Education. I know Ralph is here tonight. So somebody from the Board of Education, maybe like Chris, Parks and Recreation, maybe one of us, selectmen be a part of it, in interest, what is it that people are thinking, not to make any, major decisions, but to get the input, because it was serious enough to where, as Franco said, they were wondering, well, what are you going to do with the property, the Eaton property? Why should we buy this other property if we've got this? So I think we do need to settle that, and it may, at this point, we just don't know.
It's we've owned it 24 years now, and we've looked at a few things, but it's still there, and it's 24 years it's been off the tax rolls. And we should probably figure out what to do with it. I like the idea of having reaching across to the school board and all parties that might have a use for this property, as well as even look maybe someone who has the background in real estate or development of some sort, just to fulfill the picture is yes, someone might, we may have something that the parks could do or something like this, but at the end of the day, if this is a very valuable piece, it may be worth selling and doing something else. I don't know.
Can you, in the coming weeks, obviously this is not an urgent situation, but can you reach out and see what the plausibility of development of that is? If we were to get it back out to as a potential development site, is it likely to occur? What kind of development might go in there? I don't know who you'd reach out to, but can you get kind of that information so we can chew on that as well?
I would assume the school would have engineering studies from that 2007 era.
But that would have been for whatever they were planning on, not for,
But
I'm talking about development.
Right, but they might have wetlands, they might have different things mapped that could be useful to the discussion.
Yeah, I'm not looking for engineering plans or anything like that. I'm just saying,
Right.
Okay.
I don't, I'm not intimate with the property. Is it plausible that it would get subdivided and developed and, houses be built and, we got a housing crunch here. Is there a way to resolve it through that? I don't know. I just would like to get some feedback from someone who knows a heck of a lot more than I do about that.
Yep.
So are we agreed to table this to a future meeting to discuss further?
Yep.
Do you need a motion on
I
that?
don't know. We don't have to do,
No, I'll try to work on just gathering some information about, residential demand, maybe look at, how many parcels are out there still that are undeveloped and ready to go, versus this, and see what kind of information we get. And in the meantime, I could start just to reach out to the school or various parties
Yeah.
and see what their level of interest in doing something.
planning board. I wonder if this plays into that whole master plan issue at all. Speaking of which, we forgot to appoint a new ex officio member to the planning board. We're gonna have to go back to that.
Yeah,
New business. That we'll do that in new business.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't really know how that plays into the master plan, or the master plan discussions.
I'll bring that up with Resilience too, and just let them know. They're the firm that's doing the
Yeah,
master plan
yeah.
update. So. Okay.
Okay.
All right. This next one is more just an FYI, and I bring it up. Just there was some suggestion that the town actually assisted in putting a business out of business at the same location, and so it's just good and exciting news to know that the market is doing so well that there's demand for a new business nearly immediately in the same location, and we've just issued our letter to the New Hampshire Liquor Commission. For the new Smith Brothers Tavern, which is opening up where the old Grill 111 is underneath the Thayers. So
Great.
just good news.
Is there a schedule there? Or is it,
I don't have a schedule. I mean, it'd be hearsay if I gave you any dates. So
End of April.
end of April. So
Seafood.
seafood.
end of April? That's the plan?
Yep.
Good, I'm hungry.
Yeah, there's quite a few developments happening right in the Main Street area. There's a new fine art photographer going into the building right next to Chudder's. And I've met with him briefly, and he's going to be a great community partner. He's already said that he'd let us use some of his professional photography of Littleton for our website and other materials if we give him credit. But he's going to be a great
Cool.
addition
Awesome.
to downtown. So. All right, next up, we do have under new business, unless you want to take up ex officio to the planning board first before we let that pass.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Can we
Yeah.
take it up here?
I think so, yeah.
So there's no way I'm going to be able to continue doing that. I'll be honest with you, I feel like I haven't been doing an incomplete job at that as it is. But we do need an ex officio member of the planning board from the Board of Selectmen. Do I have to officially resign? I quit.
There you go.
You can't quit.
Is
You're
is
fired.
anybody interested in taking on that role on the planning board?
I'm not able to meet those time requirements.
That leaves my twin. I will accept him.
I'll make a motion that Carrie be made the ex officio member of the planning board.
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Carrie.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome.
By the way, they're meeting on the 2nd.
Okay.
All right. So next under new business is USDA Rural Business Development Grant Resolution. So this is a grant application for technical assistance, and it's for in preliminary engineering and a marketing plan for the farmers market. So this is for the parcel, the Moreau parcel that we're working right now on the RSA 4114A process for an easement. So the timing is right. And really, it does just that. This is once we actually get to the point where we need to go after additional grant funds to carry out the project plan, this is the money that's needed to develop the engineering plans for that project and be able to take it to the next level and develop a real budget for it. So, for tonight, the real goal would be to get the select board to make a motion that you support the application and that you're authorizing me to sign all documents pertaining to the application and the grant.
I thought we had already done that on this project.
So there's so many, this has so many moving parts, and I have another piece of news that goes along with this, which is one of the similar things that we just did with this was the Plan NH application. And that was for the design charrette for this side of the river.
Okay.
And so we received notification on Friday that the Plan NH board unanimously accepted our application. So it's going to happen. We're now
Great.
starting to plan with them. Their first site visit.
Fantastic.
And the center was
So as far as this grant is concerned, we're just talking about applying, and it has nothing to do with accepting or spending any money. It's just the application process.
That's right, yeah. And I can just read you real quick the crux of it. So the funds will be utilized to develop preliminary engineering plans for the farmers market and health park in Littleton and marketing plan for the farmers market. And then this just talks about how this is supported by the town's master plan and also the North Country. It says the Town of Littleton Master Plan in 2004 talks about strengthening the downtown as a historic center of commerce and to foster the growth of local value-added products in its economic chapter. Also, the North Country CEDS, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, updated in December 2017, discusses the need to process and distribute value-added agricultural products to support successful working lands and businesses. And so the way the grant application is written, it talks about how right now the farmers market is actually held in the parking lot of the parcel, in that it's limited in how much it can grow. And so this project would help with the preliminary engineering and design to expand the area on site and develop a more permanent location for the farmers market and other activities. And also it talks about exploring the ability to create a community garden in the area and also a general exercise park, or health park, I should say.
So you're looking for us to vote on allowing you to go through that application process and support
That's right,
that?
yeah.
And that goes under board action?
Yep. And at the end, when you make that motion, there's a resolution to be signed.
Okay.
And then just some quick updates underneath the new business and manager's report. I met with the Littleton Cultural Arts Commission on March 11th. They're discussing expanding membership and getting some new membership in, trying to work with them right now in North Country Council to see if we can find some technical assistance grant money to help them find a outsourced staff person to help out and help lead them, similar to what we did with the Parking Commission. And you can really see the effectiveness of the Parking Commission with outside staff help through North Country Council in that instance. I was invited to a private Mill Street planning meeting where some local individuals expressed some of their concerns about Mill Street and different ways to address things like loading and unloading, illegal parking, and how to better regulate some of the things out of their own businesses rather than pulling the town into everything. I attended a Littleton foster care needs event this past month on March 12th, and it really highlighted the need, not just in Littleton, or in not just the North Country, but we do have a really deep need in this area for people that have the capacity to serve as foster parents. The drug epidemic has really created a tough need. And one of the things they did talk about, and if anybody is interested or has capacity, is you don't necessarily have to take on the role of a foster parent. There's other needs out there too. And if anybody had any capacity whatsoever to even be an emergency response to bring kids clothes or things like that, there's a real need. And feel free to contact us at the town office if you want to try to get involved with that. We had our Saranac and Amanuensis project review on March 12th. We met with engineers to start getting ready for the next phase in our project. We're set, I believe, we're looking at potentially having a completion date of, late spring, early summer on that. And that'll be all the streetscape, street trees, the paving, everybody's favorite topic, the dog bowl. I don't know if you've heard about that. It's a water fountain with a dog bowl on the bottom. On March 13th, I attended the SB 97 hearing, and that was very interesting. And that's all I'll say with that one. The Upstage Players, I met with a representative from the Upstage Players to talk about their lease. We've been working on a lease. One of the things at the Opera House that I've been trying to do is really establish a contractual relationship for everything that's in there. There's been a lot of gray area, and it's made it a difficult building to manage. Having Sue Pilot there has been a great help, and her and I have been really trying to just get everything down so very clear. And this is one of the last remaining pieces. It's just a lease for use of the Cottage Street level. A few years back, we had to evict everyone. We didn't know who owned what, and we're working towards good site control, be a good steward of the building. I had a meeting with the police department on various issues on the 14th. We had a business economic affairs discussion on the 15th with the commissioner. We're working on an Eversource easement request, which will be coming before this group, this body, as well as Conservation Commission and the Planning Board. That's already scheduled for that. It's going to be the RSA 4114A, where they're looking for an easement to cross town property to manage their power lines. The new business owner I met with, I mentioned earlier, Sean Tayroon, Fine Art Photography Gallery. It's going to be opening up on Main Street. On the 19th, we attended a DirecTV mediation. The Smith Brothers Tavern, we issued the liquor license on the 19th of March. Met with Department of Public Works and Horizons. Some of what we do for some of the more technical engineering aspects in the town is we sub out. There's no way we could accomplish the large amount of projects that we do if we didn't sub out a lot of the different technical expertise. And so what we're working on with Horizons is exploring a general services, kind of like you would do with an attorney, where you have a set fee rate, and we work with them when needed to maybe get a bid document out or a preliminary engineering report. I had a meeting with Resilience Planning on master plan discussion, so they were interested in any plans that the town offices had or different projects that we were working on, and I shared with them the goals and objectives that I produced a few years back. On March 20th, the Littleton Studio School and the building itself had a open house, and got a good tour of that. I think Chad, that's all you there. Right now, I've started meeting with the chamber. We're looking at Arts Festival and a Buxton rollout meeting and a number of other topics. I'm trying to coordinate, and they've really reached out. We're coordinating as much as possible to utilize the chamber and find where there's places for collaboration. So Arts Festival things will be coming up every year. They come before the board to get permission. Rail trail coordination meeting. So we're getting closer to this actually happening. just recently I received a notification that there was a new notification from the Surface Transportation Board. And so I went online to check it out, and it said, you are hereby notified that we've decided to count the date of acceptance of your application as of such and such date. It's just it seems like a pretty bureaucratic process, but we're getting there. So we're talking with, we're working with Alex Belenes at North Country Council, Chris Gamache at New Hampshire Bureau of Trails, and Christine Frost at the Northern Borders Regional Commission, and trying to just coordinate a project and make sure that we're ready as soon as the ground thaws to go out. And this is considered a New Hampshire Bureau of Trails project, so it's not really a Town of Littleton project, but we're sponsoring it as far as our Northern Borders money to make sure that the trail, as it passes through the River District, is at the materials and the quality at a higher level than you'd see, say, if you go kind of west of the industrial park. The trail's pretty rough. And yep, we're just going to continue ongoing work to execute a lot of projects that have been approved on the warrant. And of course, there's always a lot of personnel issues that have been dealt with in the meantime. We are, it seems like, in constant interviewing. The economy's good. You lose people. Sometimes it's for other reasons, but we have a number of vacancies that we're trying to actively work to fulfill. And as I mentioned earlier, there's the great news that the Plan and H application has been accepted. So, and that's what I have.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and let me know if you ever have questions or want additional information on any particular project.
So where are we at here? We're at board,
So board,
committee, and commission vacancies?
yes,
So the deadline to request for appointment expires, has been extended to Friday, the 29th. That's this Friday, right? Should I go, do you guys want me to read through the open positions here?
yeah, you could. People watching it could maybe be motivated.
Right, do I have a list of open positions?
A few pages back. Thanks, there you go.
No, I had a list that
If
enumerated
you
it.
look on the other report right there, you have to flip it back one page. Or flip it over there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so current vacancies include, on the Budget Committee, 2 3-year terms. The Opera House Management Commission, 1 3-year term. Conservation Commission, 3 3-year terms and 1 3-year term, alternate position. Planning Board, 1 1-year term, 1 3-year term, and 2 3-year term alternate positions. Zoning Board, 2 3-year terms and 1 3-year term alternate position. Water and Light Commission, 1 3-year term. Energy Conservation Committee, 1 3-year term. River District Redevelopment Commission, 3 3-year terms. Cultural Arts Commission, 3 3-year terms. And Littleton Parking Commissioners, 3 3-year terms.
And one more, 1 2-year term for the Parking Commission for Chad's seat.
And 1 2-year term on the Parking Commission. So those are all open. We need, and the deadline for, again, the deadline for requesting appointment to any of those positions has been extended to March 29th. So now we move on. We got no Board of Assessors,
Nothing
Discussion.
today, yeah.
and so unless you have something you still want to talk about, we're going on to the public comment
I
section.
mean, I do just have one announcement, if you want me to go ahead and take care of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So on April 4th, as we've talked about, we've been working with Buxton. We were working with them on 2 platforms. One is to help us, the town, work to recruit new business, new franchisees, and new investors in the commercial district, mainly Meadow Street area. The other aspect of the contract is that we have the ability to, we have 50 licenses that have been included, and we're working to get those rolled out to local businesses. And these are ones that are going to help them create new business and sustain them. And so in order to do this, we're going to have 2 sessions on April 4th. We're going to have people from Buxton and potentially people from like the Small Business Administration, NCIC, North Country Council, Grafton County Economic Development Corporation. And the meeting is really going to be, we're trying to be an action meeting where we quickly go over what is this, what are the capabilities of having this tool, how can it help the business, and then anybody who's interested within 50 licenses, of course, we'll take them to the side and sign them up and get them going, like actually set up to start using it that minute. So it should be.
That's April 4th?
April 4th, yeah.
Is that an evening meeting?
No, there's a 9 a.m. session and a 12 p.m. session. We're limited by some of the scheduling of people coming in from Texas. If somebody did miss it, we could always try to work with them directly.
Okay.
The Littleton Chamber of Commerce is partnering with us. They're allowing us to use the RSVP function on their website, which will help us to really kind of know when if it's full.
I think I got the email this afternoon.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
I don't think it'll
Yeah.
really apply to me, but I'd like to go just because I'd like to know,
Absolutely.
see how it can be used. Have you had any communications with about that specifically with any local businesses, and see is there any interest in that?
Oh yeah, the business that I've mentioned it to have been very interested. When I walk around in the afternoon or morning and try to talk with people, like for example, at the Inkwell, I mentioned it to Angel, and she was very interested.
Good.
I mean, with one of the examples I use for the tool is specifically like a coffee shop, so it's really easy to see it. But I know that Jim Alden, for example, at Chudder's was really interested,
Okay.
and a number of others. And really, we'll even be able to use it for the Opera House to really promote that. And it'll be interesting to see how effective it is. And the company will monitor to see if since we only have 50 licenses, if we get those distributed and we find that some businesses aren't actually using them, we'll call back the license if there's enough demand and put it back out there. So.
And the intention is to make those licenses free to the business?
Yeah. I mean, we thought about the possibility of trying to use it as a fundraiser to, fund the Buxton contract, but, the businesses are taxpayers.
Yeah,
and
no,
we really want to support their efforts, so.
Okay.
All right.
Got it. So now we move on to public comments. We there now? Public comments? Any public comments? Ralph?
I've got a couple of questions. When you talk about the USDA grant, that $30,000, is there a match to that grant?
This grant doesn't have a match.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because one of the things I'd like to request of you in the future, it's just a request right now, it's just, think about it. When you talk about these grants, that you're going to apply for a grant, when you ask the board if it's okay to apply for it, I'd like to hear at that same time what the match is going to be as you're getting the approval to pay for it. And I would think the board would want to know if there's going to be a match to that before they're willing to go ahead at board action and approve it. So that's just a request.
No, yeah, and usually I think when we do a public hearing portion of it, and it's confusing because some of the grants require different things.
Yeah, but you don't do the public hearing until after you get the grant, after it's been approved.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so.
We do the public hearing at the time of the application.
At the time of the application.
Yeah, but no, that's good, and I'll make sure to highlight that, make sure everybody's.
Is it
aware.
possible when you apply, I agree with Ralph on that, is it possible on some of these cases that you might be awarded a grant with different criteria? In other words, from this, if there is a match, that the match may fluctuate or anything, or do we know going in?
Yeah, what we usually have to do is submit a budget, and once the budget is accepted, so the grant application goes in. After the grant, let's say it's approved, it'll come back with a grant agreement. The town itself has to agree to what's in there. But what would be in there is the budget that was submitted, which would include, the different aspects of the grant, and then any match has to go with it. So it doesn't
And
change
can that
it.
match be different, or is it always?
Well, I mean, the only way to change it is if there's an amendment to the project, and that usually requires,
Yeah.
you know, quite a few steps.
But you know going in usually what that match is going to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, I would say one example is like with the Safe Routes to School project, there was a match set. But once we actually got the project underway, there were some cost increases because I believe the budget was set in 2011 and the project didn't get completed completely until, what was it, 17 or so. Things changed. And the match actually, I think in that case, got better in our favor because the increases were covered in large part by the grant. But, yeah,
Okay.
they're fixed.
In line with that same grant, that's to buy the piece of property across the river for the market.
So this isn't for the purchase. This would be for the preliminary engineering.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
The land has not been purchased yet, has it?
that's correct.
Okay, is that still in negotiations?
So right now, we have the property owner in the town have a tentative agreement for a lease with an option to purchase. That is going through the legal process, the RSA 4114A process.
Okay.
And what that involves is the planning board considers it, and then they issue a letter of opinion. The Conservation Commission will hear it and then issue a letter of recommendation. Both those then go to the select board. And then the select board holds, is it two public hearings? Two public hearings on it, gathers input, and then makes a motion. I think it's 7 days after the last public hearing, and no more than 12, no more than 14 days. So that's the process that's established for the board to be able to purchase or transfer, you know, any parcels, except for tax-taken parcels. They can get rid of those.
Okay. But that's still a piece of land that we were talking about earlier, where we're going to put a music arbitorium or something down here.
Yeah.
And we're also going to put an ice skating rink. You didn't mention that when you just mentioned going for the grant. Are those still items that are going to be looked at down there, or has that gone away now?
No, I mean, all that's being considered. So what you're talking about is it's a pavilion, and that's
A
part.
pavilion and an
yeah.
ice skating rink?
Yeah. So once we get to that point, this is the grant that would actually scope that out, to be able to get the preliminary engineering report and develop a budget for it. And then from there, we would go to the next level of trying to find additional funds to actually construct the plan. This also goes along with the timing of the Plan NH, which I was talking about, design charrette. And so that's going to give the community the ability to really set the direction for this whole side of the river. You know, this parcel, but also looking at any additional, you know, opportunities to connect, like the old Hitchner parcel to this area.
So that study will cover everything that you want to put on that land at $30,000?
I believe so. Well,
Okay.
they'll take a look at all that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But this grant,
What you mentioned a few minutes ago sounded like the ice skating ring and the auditorium and all that is
Yeah.
we're gonna.
Well, so really, when you're thinking about funding sources, you really have to look at what the funds are going to. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, it's okay for me.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So when you look at grant funding, you really have to focus what the funders want to fund. So a project could have, you know, a large array of different activities that want to coexist. But you have to almost subdivide the interest based on what funds are available. And this USDA Rural Business Development Grant is very interested in agriculture. So with that, we're really focusing on any agricultural purposes and not necessarily recreation. So does that make sense?
But when you get the grant, then you can add recreation into it, you're saying? So with this, we would focus on the agricultural portion. I could, you know, if you want to come by, I can really show you how it, with the chart, how it all fits together. I'd like to see that because what you just mentioned, and you didn't mention the other parts of it, that's what we got hit on with the school board big time, was we didn't have all the answers for everything we want to do. So I just want to make sure, if you're going for a $30,000 grant, you know exactly what that grant's going to cover, and the taxpayers will know what that grant's going to cover.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Because we got kind of chewed up for not knowing exactly what we're going to build on a piece of land.
I can appreciate that.
except the
yeah.
building.
Right.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more public comment? All right. I guess we will move on to board action. I think we have 2 items to deal with. Okay, so we'll start with the life jacket grant. I guess I would entertain a motion to accept that grant. And what do we have to accept and expend?
I think with that, just accept.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're giving us the equipment.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you for your work on the grant.
Every little bit helps, so.
Does.
Second item is the authorizing Andrew to pursue the USDA Rural Business Development Grant. I'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Thank you.
Do we have to, anything to go into non-public for?
Not at this time.
All right, then I think we're done. Anything else? All set?
Nothing I can think of this time.
Can't wait to do this. I guess we're adjourned.
It's official.